Have you ever done something so completely out of love that you didn't think twice about the cost? The time? The exhaustion? That was me the night I drove 9 hours through a snowstorm. My heart was full of hope, my mind full of plans. I thought I was about to pull off the most meaningful surprise for my sister. The truth? That drive didn't take me toward warmth or family. It drove me straight into betrayal, but I didn't know that yet. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. The wipers struggled against the snow, swishing back and forth with a rhythm that kept me awake. Outside, everything was white, the world blurred and quiet except for the sound of the tires crunching through slush. Every mile felt heavier. But I told myself it would be worth it. Emily, my sister. My only sister. She'd been planning a little holiday get-together with her in-laws, but she hadn't expected me. I told her I couldn't make it, that work was too demanding, that the roads would be bad. It was a lie, of course. I wanted to see her face light up when I walked in. I wanted to remind her that, no matter the distance or the chaos of life, she and I were still family. That thought kept me warm when the heater couldn't. I even had a cake with me. A stupid, lopsided cake I'd decorated myself, tucked safely in a box on the passenger seat. It wasn't perfect, the frosting leaned a little to the left. And my handwriting looked like a child's scrawl, but it was made with love, and love was supposed to be enough. The snow made the world blur, but my mind was crystal clear. Every mile gave me space to think back on us, on Emily and me. We weren't the kind of sisters who held hands and whispered secrets under the covers. Growing up, she always seemed a step ahead, always louder, always brighter. She was the sun, I was just the quiet reflection. But I loved her, even when it hurt. I remembered birthdays where I saved my allowance to buy her something small, even though she rarely did the same. I remembered covering for her when she broke curfew, lying to Mom so Emily wouldn't get grounded. I remembered sitting through her endless recitals, her speeches, her shows, clapping the loudest. Even when she never showed up to mine, it didn't matter. She was my sister. That bond meant something to me, even when it felt one-sided, so I kept driving. The snow thickened as I reached the last stretch of highway. My car fishtailed once, and my stomach lurched into my throat. For a terrifying second, I thought maybe this was a mistake. Maybe the storm was a warning, but then I pictured her face, Emily laughing when she saw me, maybe even crying a little, hugging me tight. I clung to that vision. That's what I wanted more than anything. Her arms around me, proof that the distance and the years hadn't changed everything, so I whispered to myself, keep going. Just a little further. She'll be so happy. By the time I pulled into her neighborhood, my car was coated in ice and snow. My hands were stiff from clenching the wheel, my eyes burned from the strain. But adrenaline carried me the rest of the way. I parked 2 houses down. My heart raced. I wanted the element of surprise. Carrying the cake felt like carrying a piece of myself. My legs trembled from the cold and the nerves as I trudged through the snow. Her windows glowed with golden light, laughter spilling faintly into the night. It sounded warm. Inviting. I smiled, despite the cold biting my skin. This was going to be worth it. I crept closer, my boots crunching softly in the snow. I peeked through the window, just for a second. Emily was there, of course. She looked beautiful, like she always did. She had that effortless charm that people gravitated toward. Guests filled the room, sipping wine, chatting easily. I pressed my lips together to hold back the nervous grin. This was it. I imagined the gasps when I walked in. The hugs. The cheers. I reached for the door, but then I froze. Through the crack in the window, I heard her voice. Clear. Sharp. Cutting through the chatter like a knife. She was laughing. Telling a story. And then she said it. I swear, sometimes I wish she'd just crash on her way here. It'd make life so much easier. For a second, I didn't even register who she was talking about. I thought maybe she meant someone else. But then someone asked, "Who, your sister?" And Emily smirked. Yeah. Can you imagine? Drama over. Laughter followed. I nearly dropped the cake. I stood there, ice creeping into my veins, watching her throw her head back and laugh like it was the funniest thing in the world. My sister. My flesh and blood. The person I drove 9 hours through a storm for, wishing I'd crash. It felt surreal, like the ground tilted beneath me. The cold outside didn't compare to the cold in my chest. I wanted to burst in, scream, demand how she could say something like that. But my body wouldn't move. I was paralyzed by shock, by heartbreak, by the realization that all the love I'd carried for her wasn't returned. Not even a fraction. Finally, my legs moved. I stumbled back from the window, clutching the cake. My vision blurred not from the snow, but from the tears stinging my eyes. I wanted to throw the cake into the street, to let it splatter and freeze and disappear. But instead, I set it on her porch. Carefully. Gently. Because despite everything, I couldn't bring myself to destroy it. It was made with love, even if that love wasn't wanted. I left it there. A silent goodbye, and then I walked back into the storm. The drive back to the motel was a blur. I don't remember the turns, the lights, or the snow. I just remember the hollow ache in my chest, the sound of her laughter replaying over and over in my head. By the time I reached the empty motel room, I felt like a ghost. I sat on the bed, shoes still on, and stared at the wall for what felt like hours. Everything I thought I knew about my relationship with my sister cracked that night. And beneath the cracks, there were darker truths waiting to spill out. I didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning, because when someone wishes you dead, it's not just a joke. It's a reflection of everything they've always felt about you, and I was about to find out just how deep my sister's hatred really went. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. I sat in that cheap motel room, 4 beige walls, a buzzing heater that barely worked, a sagging mattress, and I replayed my sister's words over and over in my head. Sometimes I wish she'd just crash on her way here. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. That wasn't a joke. That was hate, clean and sharp, dressed up in laughter, and it cut deeper than anything she'd ever done before. At first, it was shock. My body was numb, like I'd been outside in the snow too long. But then the numbness cracked, and underneath it, fire. How dare she, how dare Emily laugh about me dying, me, the sister who drove 9 hours in a storm just to see her. Me, the sister who baked her a cake with shaky hands and tired eyes. Me, the sister who defended her for years, even when she didn't deserve it. The anger rolled through me like thunder, too loud to ignore. I wanted to storm back into that glowing house, slam the door open, and scream, "Here I am. The ghost you wanted gone. Look me in the eye when you wish me dead," but I didn't. Instead, I sat there gripping the sheets so hard they tore under my nails, shaking with fury until my whole body ached. Anger has a way of opening old wounds, and suddenly, I remembered every time Emily had made me feel small, like when I was 14 and saved up to buy a dress I loved, simple, blue, nothing fancy. I wore it to her birthday dinner, and she looked me up and down and said, "Cute. Looks like something I'd wear to bed." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, pretending it didn't sting, or the time I got accepted into a college program I'd been dreaming of. I called her, breathless with excitement. She sighed and said, "That's great, but do you think you can handle it? You've never really been academic." And the worst one, the night I broke up with the first guy I ever loved. I called her, sobbing, and do you know what she said? "Well, at least you're free to focus on being less pathetic now." I should have seen it then, I should have known, but no, I kept giving her the benefit of the doubt. I kept telling myself, she's just stressed. She doesn't mean it. That's just her sense of humor. No. It wasn't humor. It was poison. And I swallowed it willingly. By 3 a.m., I was pacing the room, muttering under my breath like a lunatic, "She hates you. She's always hated you. Don't make excuses this time. Don't you dare minimize it. God, you're so stupid. You drove 9 hours for her. 9 hours." Every sentence came out like a whip, lashing against my own skin. I hated her, But I hated myself more for loving her so blindly, for craving her approval like it was oxygen. That's when the fury turned into resolve. If she wanted me gone so badly, fine. But not before I learned the truth. Not before I peeled back every rotten layer of her perfect life and saw what she'd been hiding. I almost did it that night. I almost drove back, stomped up to her door, and made a scene. I pictured it, her face going pale when I repeated her words, the party going silent, the guests staring, the shame spreading across her perfect smile. The thought was intoxicating. But then another voice crept in cold. Logical. If I blew up now, she'd deny it. She'd gaslight me, turn the story around, make me the villain. She always did. And the family would take her side, because they always did. No. I needed more. I needed proof. I needed to dig deeper, to make sure this wasn't just a cruel sentence thrown into the air. I needed to know exactly how deep her hate went, so I sat down on the bed, pulled out my phone, and opened up my messages. That's when I noticed something strange. A group chat I didn't recognize. At first I thought it was a glitch, I wasn't supposed to be in it. But the names on the screen made my stomach turn. Emily. Her husband. And my mom. The anger I'd been carrying all night twisted into something else, something darker. Because if my sister hated me this much, maybe she wasn't alone. Maybe the people I trusted most weren't just ignoring her cruelty. Maybe they were feeding it. And in that motel room, my hands trembling as I scrolled, I realized the snowstorm wasn't the only danger I'd driven into that night. I'd driven into the middle of a family that wanted me gone. And I was about to find out just how far they were willing to go to make sure of it. I didn't think it could get worse than hearing my sister laugh about me crashing my car. I thought that was the bottom, the cruelest truth I'd ever have to face. But the universe wasn't done with me, because that night, in that freezing motel room, with my hands trembling and my stomach in knots, I opened a door I was never meant to see behind. And once I stepped through, there was no going back. It was an accident. I wasn't snooping, not yet. I was just scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself from the rage boiling inside me. And then I saw it, a group chat. One I didn't remember being added to. The title? Family banter. Cute, right? Like some wholesome space where we'd share memes and photos and love. But when I tapped it open, I realized two things instantly. First, I wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know if it was a glitch or a slip of someone's finger, but I had access to conversations that weren't meant for my eyes. And second, the banter was all about me. The first message I saw was from my mom. Did you hear she's actually driving out here? Unreal. She can't take a hint. Emily replied with a laughing emoji. 9 hours in a storm? God, maybe we'll get lucky and she won't make it. And then a thumbs up from her husband. That was the moment my chest cracked open. It wasn't just Emily. It wasn't just a cruel slip of the tongue at a party. It was organized. Shared. A joke passed around between the people who were supposed to love me most. I scrolled up. And the further I went, the worse it got. Does she really think anyone wants her here? She's like a stray dog that keeps showing up no matter how many times you kick it. Maybe if she gets stranded, she'll finally stop clinging to us. And then Emily's husband, the man who once hugged me at my wedding, the man who called me sis, wrote, she's pathetic. Always has been. God help the guy who ever settles for her. The room spun. My throat closed. I dropped the phone on the bed like it burned me, but I picked it back up. Because I couldn't stop. They weren't just mocking me. They were dissecting me, piece by piece. My career? Dead-end job. My looks? Aging badly, like sour milk. My love life? Non-existent, no wonder. Every insecurity I'd ever whispered to Emily in private, every late-night confession I thought was safe between sisters. She'd handed it over to her husband, to my mom, like entertainment. And they laughed. God, they laughed. By the time I reached the top of the thread, I was shaking so hard I could barely see the screen, because there it was, the message that broke me, Emily's husband again. Sometimes I wonder why she even bothers. It's like she was born just to orbit around Emily. Always second place. Always unwanted. If she disappeared, would anything even change? And Emily replied, exactly. She's dead weight. Always has been. Dead weight, that's what I was to her. To all of them, not a sister. Not a daughter. Not a human being. Just baggage they wished they could drop. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't numb anymore. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was furious. How dare they? How dare they reduce me to nothing, when I'd given them everything? Every sacrifice, every ounce of love, every second chance. They wanted me gone? Fine, but not before I showed them exactly what I was capable of. I sat there, staring at the glowing screen, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to storm and screaming. Not yet. That would be too easy for them. They'd twist it, paint me as hysterical, the crazy sister who couldn't take a joke. No. I was going to bide my time. I was going to watch. I was going to gather every piece of evidence, every screenshot, every cruel little word, and when the time was right, I was going to confront them. Not privately, not quietly, but in a way they could never squirm out of. But there was something about Emily's husband that stuck with me. His words weren't just cruel, they were personal. Cutting. Almost. Intimate, in the way he knew exactly where to aim, and that made my stomach twist in a new way, because if he hated me that much, maybe there was more between him and Emily than I realized. Maybe their alliance wasn't just about mocking me, maybe it was about keeping secrets of their own, and that's when the obsession started. I wasn't just going to prove their cruelty. I was going to uncover every rotten thing hiding beneath my sister's perfect little life. After I read that group chat, I couldn't unsee it. Couldn't unhear it. Every cruel word pulsed in my skull like a heartbeat. Pathetic, dead weight, unwanted, but it wasn't just the insults that haunted me. It was him, Emily's husband, the way he wrote about me, sharp, personal, surgical. Like he knew exactly where to stick the knife. And the way she responded, quick and eager, like the two of them had some private understanding. It was too familiar. Too practiced, and once I saw it, I couldn't stop seeing it. I lay there in that motel bed, staring at the ceiling, the glow of my phone burning against my skin, and every memory started replaying itself in a new light. The way he used to look at me during family dinners, not with kindness, but with calculation. Like he was measuring me, the times Emily would joke about me being single, and he'd be the first to pile on. Too quick. Too eager, and then, the silence that would follow, Emily smirking, him looking down at his plate, everyone else laughing nervously. It wasn't just mockery. It was collusion, and suddenly, I wasn't just angry at my sister. I wasn't just hurt, I was suspicious, dangerously suspicious. I opened the chat again. My thumb scrolled, back and back, desperate for anything, any little slip that would prove what my gut was screaming, and there it was, buried between the jokes, between the cruelty, like it was nothing. Emily, careful, babe. Don't say that where she can hear. And her husband, relax. She's too clueless to notice. At first, I thought babe was just how she talked to him in front of people. A casual thing. But here, in a private chat? In a conversation about me, no. It wasn't casual. It was intimate. It was loaded, and it made my blood run cold. I thought back to Thanksgiving, years ago. Emily had disappeared into the kitchen to check the turkey, and her husband followed. I'd brushed it off, then married couples do that all the time, but when they came back, Emily's hair was mussed, and his shirt collar was twisted. I told myself I was imagining things. Or the summer barbecue, Emily standing a little too close to him at the grill, their laughter just a beat too long, their smiles too sharp when I walked over, and the worst one, my birthday dinner, when I blew out the candles and looked up to see the two of them sharing a glance across the table. Not a sibling-in-law glance. Not a family glance. Something else. Something heavier. I'd buried those suspicions deep, too ashamed to even acknowledge them. But now they screamed at me. I couldn't stop. My hands shook as I scrolled further, searching every message, every emoji, every stray word for evidence. I found crumbs. Tiny hints, him calling her E with a wink, her replying with hearts. Jokes about inside plans I wasn't part of. It wasn't a smoking gun. Not yet. But it was enough to light a fire in my chest, because if my sister was laughing at my pain, mocking me with my mother, and sleeping with her own husband on top of it all, that wasn't just betrayal, that was war. I paced the room like a caged animal, muttering under my breath, my reflection in the mirror wild-eyed and pale, she's cheating. God, she's cheating. She has to be. They think I'm too blind, too pathetic to notice. But I see it now. I see it all. I laughed a sharp, broken sound that didn't even feel like mine. For years I'd been the fool. The punching bag. The dead weight, but not anymore. If they wanted me gone, they should have killed me when they had the chance, because now I was awake. I don't even know what drove me to do it, but I opened his social media. Scrolled through his photos, his posts. Nothing obvious. Nothing scandalous. Until I checked the timestamps, one photo of him at the gym, tagged at 7 p.m., another of Emily, posted the same night, wine glass in hand, saying much needed relaxation time, same night. Same exact minute, different places. Different lies. My pulse thundered in my ears. It wasn't proof enough to burn them with. Not yet. But it was a thread. A thread I could pull until the whole thing unraveled, and that's when I made myself a promise. I wouldn't just survive this, I would expose them, piece by piece. Message by message. Secret by secret, until Emily and her husband had nothing left to hide behind. By the next morning, I wasn't just angry. I wasn't just hurt, I was consumed. I couldn't eat. Couldn't think about anything except the messages, the way Emily and her husband mocked me, the way they slipped into something too intimate, too practiced. I needed more. I needed proof I could slam down in front of them, undeniable, unshakable, and if I had to tear apart every shred of their perfect little lives to get it, so be it. I checked out of the motel but didn't drive home. No, I parked down the street from Emily's house, engine off, heater running just enough to keep me alive, and I watched as cars pulled up and left. Watched the curtains twitch. Watched shadows move inside. Every time the door opened, my chest tightened, and then there he was. Her husband. Smiling, carrying trash bags to the curb. Normal. Ordinary. Except I couldn't unsee the words he'd typed about me. Couldn't unhear his voice in my head, dripping with contempt. When he bent down to tie the bags, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, checked the screen, and smirked. And just like that, I knew. He wasn't texting a coworker. He wasn't checking the weather. He was talking to her. My sister. His wife, and the secret between them was bubbling just beneath the surface. Later that day, I forced myself to show up. Not for the party, I wasn't invited to that. But to drop by, as if I hadn't been humiliated by their laughter the night before. Emily opened the door, her face tightening for a split second before she plastered on a smile. Oh. You. Her husband appeared behind her, casual, leaning against the frame. His eyes flicked over me, and for the briefest second, I caught at that flash of annoyance. That flash of something darker. I smiled back. Brittle and sharp. Surprised? Emily forced a laugh. We just didn't think you'd make the drive, that's all. But I wasn't listening to her. I was watching him, and when she turned her head to call for someone inside, he mouthed something, one word, why, and in that tiny, silent moment, it wasn't annoyance. It wasn't confusion. It was fear. From then on, I played along. Pretended I didn't hear their snide comments, their whispered asides. I smiled at the dinner table, poured wine, laughed when I was supposed to, but inside, I was cataloging everything, the way her hand lingered on his when she passed the dishes. The way his eyes followed her when she stood up. The way their laughter overlapped. Too quick, too rehearsed, and then the text. I only saw it because his phone lit up on the counter while he poured himself another drink, from Emily, later. Same place. Don't be late. My lungs froze. He picked up the phone, read it, and smirked. Then slid it into his pocket like nothing had happened, and in that instant, I knew I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't spiraling, I was right. That night, I cornered him in the kitchen. Just the two of us, he was rinsing a glass, casual, whistling under his breath. I stepped in, close enough to make him stiffen. You really think I don't see it? I whispered. He froze. Slowly turned to me. See what? I smiled, sharp and cold. The way you look at her. The messages. The secret meetings. For a heartbeat, his mask cracked. His jaw tightened, his eyes darted away, and then he laughed. Forced. Hollow. You're imagining things. But his voice shook. And that was all the confirmation I needed. I didn't sleep again that night. My heart was a drum, pounding out one word: confront. 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 I didn't care about subtlety anymore. I didn't care about strategy. They thought I was weak. Pathetic. Blind. They were about to learn exactly how wrong they were. The next evening, I followed them. Emily told the family she was going for a drive. He left 10 minutes later, running an errand. I stayed far enough back not to be noticed, gripping the wheel so hard my palms ached. They met at a little motel on the edge of town. Cheap. Discreet. The kind of place you don't take your spouse. I watched them walk in together. Hand in hand, and that was it. That was the proof. I slammed the car into park, chest heaving, tears burning hot in my eyes. It was time to confront. Time to burn their perfect little lies to the ground, and when that door opens again, when they come out smiling and smug, they're going to see me waiting, and nothing will ever be the same. I sat in my car outside that shabby little motel, engine humming, fingers digging crescents into the steering wheel. I wasn't imagining it anymore. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't crazy. I'd seen it with my own eyes. Emily and her husband, hand in hand, walking into a motel like guilty teenagers. The betrayal was no longer hidden in shadows, no longer buried in text messages or snide little comments. It was alive. Flesh and blood. Breathing right in front of me, and for the first time in my life. I wasn't going to stay silent. Minutes crawled by like hours. My breath fogged the glass, my pulse thundered in my ears. I thought about all the times I'd defended her. All the times I'd bent over backwards to make her feel loved, even when she gave me nothing but contempt in return. I thought about the storm I'd driven through, the cake I'd made, the laughter I heard through the window, her wishing me dead while her guests roared, and now, this. Her hands where they didn't belong. His smile where it didn't belong. The rage inside me was volcanic. But I forced myself to stay still, to breathe, to wait, because when that door opened, I wanted them to see me. I wanted them to feel the shock. The horror, the realization that their secret wasn't safe anymore. Finally, the handle turned, the motel door swung wide, and there they were, Emily, her hair tousled, sweater hanging off one shoulder, lips swollen with kisses she wasn't supposed to give. Her husband, grinning like a man who thought he'd gotten away with everything, until they saw me. I stepped out of my car, slamming the door so hard the sound cracked through the night air. Their smiles vanished, Emily's face drained of color. Her husband froze, his jaw clenching, eyes darting like a trapped animal. I walked toward them, each step deliberate, my boots crunching against the gravel. Have fun? I asked, my voice steady, sharp as glass. Emily stammered, if this isn't, don't. I cut her off. My voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare lie to me. Not now. Not after everything. Her husband opened his mouth, but I turned on him, venom dripping from every syllable. And you? You sat across from me for years. Hugged me. Called me sis. All while you were screwing her behind my back. He flinched. Actually flinched. Good. Emily tried to recover, tried to put on that smug, superior mask she always wore. You don't understand, she said, her voice shaky. It's not what you think. I laughed. A raw, bitter laugh that echoed off the empty parking lot. Not what I think? I watched you walk in. Hand in hand. I saw your texts. Later. Same place. Don't be late. Her eyes widened. Gotcha. I stepped closer, close enough to see the panic in her eyes, the sweat on his brow. You wanted me gone? You wanted me dead? Well, congratulations. You killed the sister you thought you knew. But what's left? I jabbed a finger into my chest. Isn't going anywhere. Not until everyone knows exactly what you are. Her husband tried to sound tough. No one's going to believe you. I cut him off with a smile that felt feral. I have proof. Screenshots. Messages. Every disgusting word you both typed. And now? Now I have this. I gestured to the motel, the scene itself screaming guilt louder than I ever could. You think they won't believe me? Try me. His face went red. Emily grabbed his arm, whispering frantically, her voice breaking. For the first time, I saw it. Fear, not from me. Not from being caught by me, but from being exposed to everyone else. I stepped back, my chest heaving, my voice rising until it cracked through the night. You laughed at me. You mocked me. You called me pathetic. Dead weight. Unwanted. But let me tell you something, Emily. She froze. I leaned in, my words a dagger whispered straight into her ear. You need me more than I ever needed you. Because without me? You're nothing but a liar and a cheater with a husband who doesn't respect you enough to keep it in his pants. And soon I pulled my phone from my pocket, screen glowing. Everyone's going to know it. Her face crumpled. His fists clenched, and in that electric moment, standing in the glow of that filthy motel sign, we weren't sisters. We weren't family, we were enemies, and this was only the beginning. I thought the motel confrontation would end it, that they'd crumble, confess, maybe even beg, but I should have known better. Emily has never been the type to surrender. Not to me. Not ever. She recovered faster than I expected. 1 minute her face was white as ash, the next she was straightening her clothes, tilting her chin up, venom sliding back into her voice. You're pathetic, she hissed. Following us here? Spying? No wonder nobody wants you around. Her husband jumped on it, his voice low but shaking. She's unhinged, Emily. She'll twist this into whatever she wants. For a second, the two of them weren't caught cheaters. They were a united front, and I was the crazy one in their story. The audacity burned me alive. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Pathetic? No, Emily. What's pathetic is sneaking around like cowards, then trying to gaslight the one person who's finally called you out. Don't pretend you're not caught. I saw everything. Her mask slipped again. Just for a second, but it was enough. I turned on him. And you, how long? Huh? How long have you been screwing my sister while playing the perfect husband? He clenched his fists. Watch your mouth. I stepped closer, daring him. Or what? You'll hit me? Go ahead. Prove what kind of man you really are. Emily tugged on his arm, whispering urgently. He didn't move. His jaw tightened, his eyes darting, but he didn't move, and in that silence, in that hesitation, I saw it, guilt, not remorse. Not regret. Just the raw, gnawing guilt of someone finally realizing the walls were closing in. Then Emily snapped. This is your fault, she spat. All of it. You ruin everything, you always have. You couldn't stand that I'm happy, that people love me more than they'll ever love you. So you stalk me, you twist stories, you show up here to destroy my marriage. Her voice cracked on that last word. Marriage, I cut her off, my voice a growl. You destroyed your marriage the second you dragged him into that room. Don't you dare put that on me. She flinched, but then her lips curled into that smug little smile I hated. You think anyone will believe you? You've always been jealous. Always desperate. Who do you think they'll side with? Me. Or the unstable sister who's been obsessed with my life for years? The words sliced me open. Because I knew she'd try it. She'd spin it. She'd make me out to be the villain, and maybe some people would believe her, but not this time. I pulled out my phone, screen glowing in the dark, screenshots. Messages. Every word you thought you could hide. That's what they'll see. Not my jealousy. Not my so-called obsession. The truth. Her face faltered, for just a beat. Then she sneered, "You wouldn't." I smiled. "Try me." I didn't wait for them to answer. I walked back to my car, got in, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Emily clutching her husband's arm, her face twisted in fury and fear. They thought they'd beaten me down before. That I'd crawl away, humiliated, like always, but they didn't realize this wasn't the end of the fight, this was only round one. That night, I couldn't sleep. My body vibrated with rage, my hands shook every time I replayed their words in my head. Pathetic. Jealous. Unstable, the same script she'd been using against me my whole life, but now, I had leverage. Now, I had proof, and the question gnawed at me: do I unleash it now, blow their lives apart in one public explosion, or do I wait? Watch. Let them twist themselves tighter into their lies until the noose pulls shut. By morning, I had my answer. I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to dismantle them piece by piece, and the first step, making sure their secret wasn't a secret anymore. They wanted war, now they've got one. Secrets rot in the dark, and I wasn't about to let theirs fester one more day. They thought they could gaslight me. Spin me into the crazy sister. But I wasn't crazy. I had proof. And now it was time to set it free. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, coffee untouched, phone in hand. My thumb hovered over the screen, my pulse thrumming in my ears, screenshots, Emily's smug little texts. His dirty replies. Their cruel jokes about me, about wishing I'd disappear, and that one message later. Same place. Don't be late, I attached them all. Every last one, not to the whole world. Not yet, but to the people who mattered most. Our parents. Our siblings. The family chat Emily loved to control. I hit send, and just like that, the silence shattered. My phone lit up like fireworks. What is this? Tell me this isn't real. Emily? Please explain yourself. Dozens of messages pouring in. Confusion. Shock. Rage, and then, finally, her. Don't believe her. She's twisting everything. She's always hated me, you all know that. Typical, but the screenshots spoke louder than her denial. Emily. That's your number. Why would you say those things about your own sister? And meeting him at a motel? The tide was turning. For once, I wasn't the one on trial. She was. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. 2 minutes after that, her husband called. Straight to voicemail, then came the texts, "You don't know what you've done. Delete those messages now. If you love this family, you'll stop." Love this family? The audacity nearly made me choke. They didn't love me. They loved control. And I'd just ripped it out of their hands. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I wasn't the one being humiliated. They were. The perfect sister, the smug husband stripped down to liars and cheats in front of everyone, and it felt good. No, it felt glorious. I could almost breathe again. Almost sleep. Almost feel like I wasn't insane, but deep down, I knew, this was just the opening volley. Emily wasn't the type to curl up and die. She'd come back swinging. Hard. By that evening, she did. My phone buzzed with a new message in the family chat. A long one. She painted me as unstable. Claimed I'd hacked her phone, faked the messages. Claimed I'd always been jealous of her marriage, her life, her happiness. Then the dagger. She brought up my past. My mistakes. My lowest moments. Things I'd trusted her with years ago, weaponized now to make me look like a bitter, unhinged wreck. And worse, some of the family started hesitating. Could she really fake texts? I don't know what to believe anymore. My blood went cold. She was doing it again. Twisting. Manipulating. Turning the spotlight back onto me, I sat there, phone trembling in my hand, fury boiling so hot I could barely see straight. Fine. She wanted war? She wanted to drag every skeleton out of every closet, then I'd show her what real exposure looked like, because the screenshots were only the beginning. I had more, and if she thought she buried me before, she hadn't seen anything yet. Next time, Emily, I won't just wound you, I'll burn everything you've built to the ground. Emily thought she could spin it. She thought dragging up my past, parading my mistakes, would bury me under the same shame she'd always weaponized, but she made one mistake. She underestimated how much I'd been watching, collecting, waiting. She thought those screenshots were all I had. She was dead wrong. The family chat was chaos. Half of them defending me, half defending her. This looks fake. No, it's her number, I checked. She wouldn't do this. Are you kidding? She's been cruel for years. Every buzz of my phone felt like a gunshot. I could see her working them one by one, softening them, spinning her web, and worst of all, it was working. Doubt was seeping in. If I let it go now, she'd win again, so I didn't let it go. I opened my folder. My insurance, screenshots of more than just texts. Photos. Location data. Receipts. Every breadcrumb they'd left behind. I'd picked up. Her husband's car parked outside the motel. Twice. Different nights, Emily's voice messages, ones she thought she deleted, mocking me, mocking the family, mocking him, and the final blow, a short video clip, grainy but clear enough. Emily stepping into the motel room, her husband following, their hands tangled together, no denials. No spins. No gaslighting out of this one. I dropped it all into the chat, no warning. No explanation. Just evidence. Boom. For a full 2 minutes, nobody said a word. The chat went dead. I stared at my screen, chest heaving, waiting. Then came the first reply, from our mother, Emily. Explain. Now. And just like that, the tide shifted. Her replies came fast. Frantic, unpolished in a way I'd never seen before. It's not what it looks like. That video is taken out of context. She's been following me, she's obsessed. But her words were hollow. Everyone could see it. Then her husband finally broke his silence. Enough, Emily. Just 2 words, but they cracked her wide open. Enough? I muttered out loud, laughing bitterly. Oh, now he grows a conscience. In the chat, the family turned on her. Emily, stop lying. I defended you. How could you? You dragged her through hell, and it was you all along. And still she fought, clawing, spitting, trying to regain control. She's trying to ruin my life. She typed. I finally replied. No, Emily. You ruined your own life. I'm just showing everyone the truth. It was done. Her perfect image? Shattered. Her control? Gone. Her husband? Silent, his guilt painted across every word he didn't say. For the first time, I wasn't the one crawling in the dirt, she was, and God, it felt good. But I knew Emily. I knew this wouldn't end with her admitting defeat. No, if she was cornered, she'd bare her teeth. And sure enough, just before midnight, my phone buzzed again. One new message. From her. Directly to me. If you think you've won, you have no idea what's coming next. She'd declared war. But she had no idea how far I was willing to go. Emily never goes down quiet. She doesn't know how. Corner her, expose her, rip the mask off her face. And she'll just build another mask, but this time, it wasn't fear I felt, it was excitement, because every move she made, every desperate strike, only dug her grave deeper. It started the next morning, one post. Public, her smiling face front and center, captioned with poison. It's sad when people are so miserable with their own lives that they try to destroy others. My sister has been harassing me, stalking me, even faking messages to ruin my marriage. Please respect our privacy while we deal with this family issue. And then the comments. Her little army, her friends, the ones who always fawned over her, lining up to drag me. Unbelievable. Get help, girl. She's always been jealous, hasn't she? Every word was a slap, but I didn't flinch. Not this time, because I knew what they didn't. The truth was already out. The family chat blew up again. Some believed her story, parroting her lies back at me. Why would you do this to her? If you're struggling, you should ask for help, not lash out. But others weren't buying it, Emily. We saw the screenshots. Don't insult our intelligence. Stop blaming her for your mess. For the first time, the split wasn't even. More were on my side than hers. And she hated it. Her husband finally spoke up, not in the chat. Not in public, to me, one message, private, late at night. I didn't want this to go this far. I stared at it, heart pounding. Didn't want this to go this far? What did he think was going to happen when he slept with his wife's sister behind everyone's back? I didn't reply, because the silence would eat at him more than any words could. But Emily wasn't finished. She went nuclear, digging into my past. Posting old photos, dredging up mistakes I'd buried years ago. Times I'd fallen apart. Times I'd trusted her to keep my secrets safe. And now she paraded them for the world to see. Her caption was venom. See? This is what I've been dealing with my whole life. Jealousy. Obsession. Mental instability. Pray for her. Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments, and yet. Something shifted. The replies weren't just sympathy anymore, they were suspicion. But what about the screenshots? This doesn't excuse cheating though. Why is your husband so quiet? Her perfect narrative was cracking. I didn't post a single word, not one. Instead, I let her unravel herself. Every time she doubled down, every time she lashed out, more people started asking questions, and I sat back, sipping my coffee, watching her burn. Because that's the thing about scorched earth, sometimes the fire doesn't need more fuel. Sometimes it just needs air, and she was choking herself with it. That night, another message came through, not from her, from him, her husband. We need to talk. Alone. And just like that, the war shifted again, because if he was breaking ranks, then Emily wasn't just losing her image, she was losing her own damn soldier. And when he talks, I'll make sure every word cuts her deeper than she's ever cut me. When his message came through, we need to talk. Alone. I didn't answer right away. I let him sweat. Let him wonder if I'd show. Because this wasn't just a conversation. This was an interrogation, and I was the one holding the light. We met at a half-empty diner on the edge of town, fluorescent lights buzzing, the smell of burnt coffee and grease in the air. He was already there when I walked in, hunched over in a corner booth, staring at his phone like it had betrayed him too. When he saw me, he straightened, tried to smile. It didn't reach his eyes. I slid into the booth across from him, folding my arms. Talk. At first, he tried to play it cool. This has gotten out of hand, he said, his voice low. You didn't have to involve the whole family. You didn't have to humiliate us like that. I leaned forward. My voice sharp. Us? Or just you? His jaw clenched. Look, he muttered, I know what it looks like, but, I cut him off. Don't you dare insult me with excuses. I saw you. At the motel. Hand in hand with my sister. And I've got the messages. The receipts. Every filthy word. So don't sit there and pretend it's not what it is. His face twitched. He opened his mouth, shut it again, and then, finally, he exhaled. Okay, he muttered, staring at the table. Okay. You're right. My pulse quickened. Say it. He looked up at me, eyes bloodshot, voice hoarse. It happened. The words hung heavy in the air between us, but I wasn't done. How long? Silence. I slammed my palm against the table, making him jump. How long? He swallowed hard. Months. My stomach turned. And the messages? I demanded. The jokes about me? The things you said, both of you. Was that her, or you? His face went red. He looked away. That was her, he muttered. She started it. She egged me on. I narrowed my eyes. Don't you dare try to dump it all on her. You wrote those words. You laughed at me. You wished me gone just as much as she did. He winced, but didn't deny it. Good, I leaned in, voice low, venom dripping from every word. You had a choice. You could have stopped it. You could have shut her down. But you didn't. You joined her. You betrayed me. You betrayed your marriage. And now you're both drowning in the mess you made. He rubbed his face, groaning. You don't understand. Emily. She's relentless. She gets in your head. I slammed my hand down again. Don't you dare play victim. Not to me. Not after what you've done. His shoulders slumped. For the first time, he looked small. Weak, and that's when it hit me. He wasn't just guilty, he was afraid. I sat back, a slow smile spreading across my face. You're scared. His eyes darted to mine. What? You're terrified. Not of me. Of her. Of what she'll do if you turn on her. He didn't answer, he didn't have to, because the silence was louder than any confession. I leaned across the table, my voice a whisper sharp enough to cut. You're going to help me, whether you realize it or not. Because I've got enough to bury her. And if you're not careful, I'll bury you right alongside her. His face went pale, and in that moment, I saw it, the shift, the crack in the armor, the realization that Emily's perfect little soldier was mine now, and with him in my corner, Emily won't just fall, she'll shatter. The moment I saw his face pale in that diner, I knew Emily's husband wasn't just guilty. He was weak, and weakness can be used, so I sharpened my words, my anger, my truth, and I aimed him like a weapon straight at her. Here's how this is going to work, I said, leaning across the booth. My voice was calm, cold, the kind that slices deeper than screaming ever could. You're going to give me everything. Dates. Details. Every lie she's told. Every word she whispered to keep you under her thumb. And when I'm done, you're going to repeat them out loud to her, to me, to everyone. Do you understand? His jaw tightened. You can't just, yes, I can, I snapped. Because right now, you're nothing but collateral. You think she'll protect you? She's already sharpening her knives. When she burns, she's taking you with her. Unless you switch sides. He sat there, shaking, staring at his hands, and then, finally, he nodded. It spilled out of him in waves. The nights at the motel, the whispered jokes about me in their bed, the way Emily pushed, manipulated, threatened him whenever he hesitated. But worse, the way he enjoyed it. She made it exciting, he muttered, shame heavy in his voice. The secrecy. The power. The. Stop. My voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare dress this up as anything but filth. You didn't stumble into this. You wanted it. His eyes fell, guilt carved into his face. Good. Let it eat him alive. I leaned in, lowering my voice to a venomous whisper. You've confessed to me. Now you're going to confess to her. And I'll be right there to watch her face when you do. His head snapped up. No, yes. I smiled coldly. You wanted to play games in the dark? Now you'll play in the light. He shook his head, panic flooding his eyes. She'll kill me. No, I said, standing, tossing a few bills on the table. She won't kill you. She'll crumble. And I'll make sure every piece cuts her on the way down. The setup was simple, a family gathering. Neutral ground. Emily walking in, head high, pretending nothing was wrong, but this time, her husband wasn't silent, he was mine. I watched him, saw the sweat beading on his forehead, the way his hands shook. Emily sat across the table, eyes darting between us. Suspicion already brewing, and then I nodded at him, the signal. His lips parted. His voice cracked. Emily. They know. About us. About everything. Her face drained of color. What? She hissed. He swallowed hard. The motel. The messages. The lies. I told her. I told all of them. For a heartbeat, the room froze, and then Emily exploded. "You spineless piece of," she screamed, leaping to her feet. "You weak, pathetic coward. You were supposed to stand with me." Her voice shook the walls, spit flying, her hands trembling with rage, and he just sat there, shrinking, breaking, staring at the floor. I rose slowly, calm as a storm building on the horizon. "Funny, isn't it?" I said, my voice cutting through her shrieking. "All that time, you thought you had control. You thought he was your soldier. Your weapon. But in the end..." I leaned close enough for her to see the fire in my eyes. "He was mine." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For the first time in her life, Emily was speechless. The room was chaos. Family shouting. Chairs scraping. Emily's husband burying his face in his hands, but me, I was calm, because this was just the beginning. Her husband wasn't just broken. He was compromised, and with him in my grip, I had the perfect tool to finish her once and for all. Next time Emily fights back, she won't just be fighting me, she'll be fighting the man she thought she owned. Emily had always prided herself on control. She could twist any story, spin any lie, charm any room, but when her husband turned on her in front of everyone, that mask cracked, and once it cracked, it shattered. She didn't just raise her voice, she screamed, "You lying bastard." She shrieked at him, her voice raw, echoing through the room. "You spineless traitor. You think you can humiliate me like this?" Her fists slammed against the table, rattling glasses, making the younger cousins flinch, but she wasn't done. Her fury turned on me. "And you," she spat, jabbing a shaking finger in my face. "You've been waiting for this, haven't you? Sitting in the shadows, collecting dirt like the rat you are, just waiting for a chance to ruin me." Her face was red, eyes wild, spit flying with every word. This wasn't Emily, the polished manipulator. This was Emily unmasked. Gasps filled the room. Some tried to calm her down, some told her to sit, to stop, to breathe, but she wouldn't. She couldn't. She was unraveling in real time, right there in front of everyone, and I didn't say a word, because silence was deadlier than any insult. Every second I sat calm while she raged. The scales tipped further against her. She clawed for weapons, dragging out old wounds like knives. "You think she's innocent?" she screamed, turning to the family. "You don't know what she's done. You don't know the secrets I've kept to protect her. She's jealous, pathetic, unstable. She's always been a parasite." "Enough, Emily," my mother cut in sharply, but Emily barreled right over her. "She doesn't care about family. She doesn't care about anyone but herself. Look at her smug, sitting there like she's one. But she's nothing. Nothing." Her voice cracked on the last word, raw fury twisting into desperation. Finally, I spoke, calm, controlled. "Are you finished?" The room went silent. Emily froze, chest heaving, eyes wild, and then I leaned back in my chair. My voice low, steady, cutting through the tension like a blade. "Because all I see right now is the truth. Not the version you spin. Not the mask you wear. Just you. Screaming. Desperate. Exposed." Her knees buckled. She gripped the back of a chair, shaking. For a moment, it looked like she might faint. Then her husband, my weapon, now muttered under his breath, "She's right, Emily. It's over." The words hit her harder than any slap. She spun on him, her voice breaking into a shriek, "You're dead to me." And then she turned back to me, eyes blazing with a fury that could burn the world. "This isn't over," she hissed, her voice low now, dangerous. "You think you've beaten me? I'll burn this entire family to the ground before I let you walk away clean." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. The silence she left behind was deafening. Her mask was gone. Her army was crumbling, but a cornered animal doesn't surrender, it strikes, and Emily just promised her final strike is coming. It started with a post, big, public, loud. Her face was flawless, her smile wide, but her eyes told the truth. Bloodshot, wild, desperate. The caption was pure poison. I stayed silent long enough. My sister has been obsessed with destroying me for years. She's unstable, manipulative, dangerous. She faked screenshots. She stalks me. She's trying to break apart my marriage because she can't stand to see me happy. She didn't stop there. She added pictures of me, unflattering ones she'd hoarded for years. Times I'd broken down. Times I'd trusted her enough to be vulnerable, and then the dagger: if anything happens to me, you'll all know who's responsible. The comments exploded. Wow, this is insane. She needs help. Cut her off for good. But mixed in, like sparks in the ashes, came others. But what about the motel video? Didn't her husband admit it? This doesn't add up. And just like that, her scorched earth started cracking, because the more she shouted, the more desperate she looked. The family chat was chaos again, half of them furious at me, half of them furious at her. The lines had never been sharper. One cousin wrote, "If you two don't stop, you're going to rip this family apart forever." I almost laughed. Rip it apart? Emily was the one swinging the axe. I didn't reply. Not online. Not in the chat. Not once, because silence was louder. Every time Emily raged, I stayed calm. Every time she posted, I didn't, and the contrast was killing her. Late that night, she posted again, another rant. Longer. More frantic. Contradictions slipping through. She called me unstable. Then accused me of masterminding a plot too calculated for instability. She said the screenshots were fake. But couldn't explain the video. She painted her husband as loyal. But he'd already spoken against her. The more she fought, the more her own words betrayed her. And while she burned herself alive in public, I was preparing. Because I had one card left, one piece of evidence I'd held back, the kind that couldn't be spun, couldn't be denied, couldn't be twisted, the kind that would end her, once and for all. So I waited. Waited for the exact moment when her voice was at its loudest, her lies at their wildest, her mask slipping completely, and then I would strike. She wanted scorched earth. I'll give her ashes. Emily thought scorched earth would save her. But all it did was set the stage for her execution, because while she screamed, while she raged, while she dragged my name through the dirt, I was waiting with the one card she didn't know I had, the card that would burn her mask. Her lies, her marriage, her reputation, all of it to ash. It was another post, long, frenzied. Her words spilled like gasoline. She's dangerous. She's manipulative. She's obsessed. She's trying to ruin me because she can't stand that I have what she doesn't. Hundreds of comments, some cheering her on, some questioning her sanity, and right there, in the middle of it all, I struck. One upload, one file, a recording, her voice, clear. Unmistakable, laughing. Mocking, talking to her husband. She actually thinks we care. God, she's pathetic. I swear, if she disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. Followed by her husband's uneasy laugh, followed by Emily again. Don't worry, she'll never have proof. I always win. The internet froze, the comments slowed, and then they erupted. Wait. Is that her voice? She admitted it. This is disgusting. I defended you, and this is who you are. Her post filled with fury, but not aimed at me, at her. Within hours, her followers turned, the sympathy dried up, the family chat exploded. Cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone piling on her, demanding answers she couldn't give. Her husband didn't defend her, not once. He just typed one line into the group chat, "It's true." All of it. She tried to fight, she posted again, clawing, screaming through text. It was taken out of context. It's fake. You're all blind. But no one bought it. Every lie she spun only wrapped tighter around her throat, and for the first time in her life Emily wasn't feared, she was pitted, she was hated, she was done. I didn't gloat, I didn't scream, I didn't post a victory speech. I didn't have to, because the silence spoke louder. Emily was finished, not because I shouted her down, but because I cut her open with her own words, and there's no coming back from that. The last message I ever got from her came at 3 a.m. One line: "You think you've won. But you've just made me your shadow forever." Maybe she's right, maybe she'll linger, like smoke after a fire, but shadows don't scare me anymore, because now, everyone sees her for what she is, and me, I finally walked out of the flames. Emily wanted war, I gave her extinction.